Daniel Day-Lewis, love you. You will always be Daddy Day-Lewis to me, but you need kissing lessons, my man. That was not attractive at all. Y'all, what the hell was that opening dance sequence? And she's like, what would you do if you could come over here? Oh my god. Hey y'all, welcome to a new video where I will be tackling everything that I said I would read and watch by the end of 2024. So it is officially December. I have less than 30 days to complete all of the goals that I had for this year. And I'm not just talking goals like, oh, getting into shape, being happier, journaling, spending more time with my loved ones. I'm talking about miniature goals like, oh, I want to read this book before the year ends. Oh, I wanted to watch this movie before the year ends. And so in this video, I am going to take you along with me throughout the month while I read and watch everything that I said I would get to throughout this year. Right now I have 6 items on the agenda. That might change. I might find more that I was like, oh, I forgot I said I wanted to watch this movie before the year ends. But for right now I have 6. I'm going to list them off for you. First, let's go through everything that I said I would read by the end of this year. I said that I would read A Raisin in the Sun. I have been saying that I am going to read When the Moon Hatched this year. I got this in my very first book haul of all time, and I've cracked the spine. I haven't cracked a page, okay? I've not read any of this book, and it's so thick and it's very enticing. I want to read it. I will read this book by the end of the year. Okay, and then the final book that I said I would read by the end of this year is going to be The Perfect Couple. And I want to read this because I really want to watch the miniseries that came on Netflix. So those will go hand in hand. I will read The Perfect Couple and then I will watch the miniseries The Perfect Couple. I also said that I would watch The Age of Innocence from Martin Scorsese. I did watch this movie years and years and years ago, but I read the book this year. And so that's the reason for the want to rewatch this movie. So I will watch Age of Innocence before the month is up. And then the final 2 movies, I said that I would do a Watch a Criterion Collection with Me Winona Ryder edition. However, I watched several of those movies and then my footage got completely corrupted, so I can't post that video at all and it makes me really upset. There were 2 movies that were in that video that I had not gotten to yet. They were Reality Bites and An Autumn in New York. And those movies are both leaving the Criterion Collection, Criterion channel this month. So those are on my list of movies to watch that are leaving the Criterion channel this month, but also movies that I want to watch before the end of the year because I didn't get to them while I was doing my Winona Ryder video, and I'm no longer doing the Winona Ryder video because the footage got corrupted like I said, but I still want to watch Reality Bites and Autumn in New York because I've never seen those. I love Winona Ryder. I added up how many pages are in all of these books. I added up all the minutes that are in these movies, and if I'm averaging a minute a page on the book plus all of the minutes of the movies that I want on this list, it adds up to about 2,000 minutes, which divided by 60 is 33 hours. So if I'm able to average watching or reading 2 hours a day on all of these, I will finish it in about 15 days and I can get this video out to you guys by the end of the month. So come along with me. I'm going to be reading and watching movies in this vlog. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to see where this goes. In the next clip, I'll update you on something fun. Hi, it's another day. I am scrambling like always. I'm about to go on a trip to go see my nieces. I have to wrap Christmas presents for them, and I thought that I'd watch a movie while doing that. One of the movies that I want to complete in this video is going to be, is it called Reality Bites? Oh my gosh, I didn't look this up before. I think it's called Reality Bites. It's one of those Winona Ryder movies. I'm gonna have it on the TV. I'm gonna wrap presents. You guys can watch that. Enjoy. She's so boyfriend Winona Ryder right here. Okay, I just finished watching Reality Bites. It was so cute. It's like one of the ultimate, oh, this is falling. It's an ultimate friends to lovers kind of romance comedy story, okay? I had a fun time with it, definitely. I have like nothing bad to say about it, really. So we follow Winona Ryder's character and all of her friends. They have all just recently graduated from college. They have kind of like an existentialist, nihilistic view on the world right now, okay? Some of them are slackers, some of them are like just trying to figure out their place in the world. You know, Winona, she was valedictorian. She feels like she should be doing something really great with her life. She's working as an assistant on a TV show, and she wants to be kind of a filmmaker slash DP. She has a video camera. She follows her friends around. They just kind of like aimlessly like shows their life. There's Ethan Hawke in the movie as well. He's one of the friends. He's the friend to lovers bit of it, okay? He is like a slacker. He's a slacker musician. He's a wannabe musician. He doesn't like really amount to anything in his life, okay? She has another friend who works at the Gap, another friend who is a closeted gay, and they're just like all trying to navigate post-college life, right? She loses her job at the TV station and she can't get a job anywhere else. She feels useless. Like she can't even get a job at like the burger joint, okay? She has to end up working for her dad's gas station, which is like humiliating, okay? Like she and her friends like she does not want to do that. She becomes friends with Ben Stiller, who is the director. I will always admire his ability to insert himself and create a character for himself, or just make him one of the characters in his movies, okay? Or to create a movie that he wants to star in. I always have respect for people who are director, writer, actors, which he wasn't the writer for this, but he was the director and an actor. Anyway, she becomes friends with Ben Stiller. He is a businessman, okay? He's got it going on. And she shows him her documentary that she's been making about her friends. He shows it to a couple of people. I don't know like exactly what his business is. I don't know if he works in TV, if he's just like a successful businessman, someone that she like looks up to because she wants to be successful as well. Like she just graduated college. She's kind of like, when am I getting my big break? And he shows his people the documentary and they decide to create a TV show out of it, okay? Her and Ethan Hawke have such an interesting relationship because they're like, one of her friends says it best. She's like, you guys are best friends, but you need to just like fuck to get it out of your system kind of thing. You can tell they like each other because the other one will get jealous whenever the other one has a girlfriend or a boyfriend that they bring over. Like Winona Ryder starts to date Ben Stiller and Ethan Hawke like just tears them apart every time he sees him. Ethan Hawke's character will like go missing for weeks at a time and then show up with a girl, and Winona Ryder's like, oh well, thanks for letting us know you're alive, you know? Anyway, Ben Stiller takes the videos that she has of her friends, sends it to some producer, and they make a TV show out of it called Reality Bites. And it's set, it feels like an MTV kind of show, but like for kids, like a little kiddie. Like there's like fart noises and like jokes about pizza. Like they just really like edited it up to make it look like just like a show for kids in a way. So when they premiered the show, Winona is just like beside herself. She's like, this is not the vision I had for this documentary. Like I have been filming my friends for years and you're making a laughing joke at my friends' expenses, okay? Like her friends are actually going through real hardship and also just like trials of like trying to navigate the world, especially post-college, right? She gets really mad at Ben Stiller for, you know, chopping up her work or having his people chop up her work and telling her like, oh, you're gonna love it and everything. Like she just feels very misled. The friends to lovers bit was definitely really cute. I don't know, like I don't have much to say about it. I felt like it was a very like 3.5 star movie. Like I wouldn't watch it again. I wouldn't own it, but I'm glad that I watched it. Winona Ryder's performance was really great. Ethan Hawke's performance was really great. It was like goofy, funny, haha, and like it's relatable too because like there's nothing worse than after you graduate college and it's like, now I actually have to be an adult. Like now I actually have to get a real big girl job, and like what if you can't get that? You know, some people are not so lucky. Some people end up working at the Gap or at their dad's gas station after college. So I felt like it was very realistic and just a fun time. Hi, very early good morning. Oh, nice. Very early good morning. It's nearly 6 o'clock. I woke up at 5 today because we are traveling to North Carolina. It's like a 10-hour drive, I think. I'm taking the first shift, and I was going to listen to the audiobook The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden because it's in my December TBR. But then I was looking last night and they have The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hilderbrand on Spotify audiobooks. So I'm going to listen to that one instead because I need to read that book, to watch that show, to read and watch everything that I said I would by the end of the year. So this is just that little video starting this. I don't know when I'll update. I don't even know if I'll finish the audiobook in the drive down, but it will definitely be finished by the drive back up, okay? So I don't know if I'll do like an update once I get to North Carolina of like how the book is, how I like it, whatever, or if I'll just like do an overall wrap up at the end. But once I have an update for you, I will definitely see you in the next clip. Hey y'all, I'm here to report that I finally finished reading something that I said that I would read by the end of 2024. That being The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hildebrand. I listened to this. I went on a 20-hour road trip and I listened to the audiobook the whole time. It definitely was a great way to pass the time. I think the audiobook in total was 12 hours long, 13 hours long, something like that. So we listened to over half of it, like 60% of it on the way down, and then finished it on the way back home. I ended up giving it only 2 stars because it just wasn't, I don't know how to explain this. It is definitely more of a character study of a book as opposed to a plot of a book. You know what I mean? Like the characters, the background of the characters, the study, the who, the why, the description of the characters was so much more in depth than the actual plot was. I ended up being really disappointed with the ending. Basically what happens, let me actually tell you what this is about first. So there's a wedding happening in Nantucket. The maid of honor ends up murdered the very first chapter of the book. She like is swept up on the shore. She drowned the night before. Everyone within the bridal party, everyone within the, bridal party is a suspect. We get multiple different chapters, multiple different POVs of people's past and people's present. The cool thing about it too is that the book is called The Perfect Couple, and within the book there are multiple couples, and we find that no one is actually the perfect couple. Okay, everyone has secrets. There's no such thing as the perfect relationship because everyone is a human being. Everyone is a flawed person. And when you want to make a relationship work, you have to learn what is worth fighting for within a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, what are your boundaries? What are you willing to sacrifice for and what to put up with? Within this book, like I said, no one is a perfect person in it. No one has the perfect relationship or is the perfect couple, despite how many couples are here within the story. So yeah, the maid of honor ends up dead and we have to find out who killed her, how she died, blah, blah, blah. I think that the book does a really good job of like suspending your belief. Like you're constantly being thought like, oh, this person did it. Oh, this person did it. Here's this motivation. It's not just like no one kind of has a motivation and that at the end it's like slapped onto someone. I feel like any one person could have been the murderer and any kind of way they could have murdered her. It also was really interesting because there are a lot of aspects that surround the murder. Like she was found in the water. There was a kayak that was overturned in the sand. She had a cut on her foot. These things keep getting brought up, and as the story is unfolding, we're finding out where and how those pieces fit into the story. I thought that she does a really good job writing. I thought that she clearly like really maps out her stories and really maps out her characters before she writes, and I think that that's very indicative of a good writer. It's just like the book really wasn't for me, okay, because I did find the ending to be very underwhelming. I didn't like the finality of it, like who ended up killing her and the finality of the story of it. I thought that we could have gone the way that we did, ended the way that we did, but then in that final chapter, if there had been some like last minute plot twist that like made your mind reel and have you keep thinking about the book, I would have loved that, okay? Even if it was cheesy, even if it was silly, I would have really appreciated that. I think about the book Verity by Colleen Hoover. I think when I first read it, I was very caught up in the moment because I just had gotten back into reading and I was like, this is a really fun thriller. But then as I read more and think about the book in the future, like I don't think it's a very well written book and I don't really like the stories that she writes. But the one good thing about it is that at the very end, there's this little turn of a screw. Like there's a final plot twist in the final chapter that like sticks with you. You're like, oh, like you literally gasp while you're reading it because you can't believe, like we thought that everything was solved and everything was finished, but then there's this final piece to the puzzle that just like turns the whole world upside down, and it will stick with you. Like the ending of Verity has stuck with me my whole life since I've read it, which was like 2 years ago. But this book will not stick with me because the ending was so like tied up in a bow, A, B equals C, you know what I mean? 1, 2 equals 3. So it could have been better. I'm very excited to watch the show. I'm very excited to see how the show compares and contrasts to the book. I wonder if it's very by the book or if they changed some things in it. Also, I just love Nicole Kidman and I'm really excited to see her in another role, of course. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch that. It's like a 5-hour miniseries, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to get into that and I will catch up with you and let you know how much I liked it or if I didn't like it. Sorry for the change in lighting and change in location really fast, but something that I didn't mention about The Perfect Couple was that as I was listening to it, I could like tell the story, you know what I mean? Like it was extremely predictable. Like as I was listening to it, I was literally saying out loud what would happen next, and it absolutely would be what happened next. So it wasn't as suspenseful as I wanted it to be because it was so predictable, you know what I mean? Okay, it's finally time to start The Perfect Couple, the mini series. I'm just excited for Nicole Kidman, I'll be honest. I think it's 5 hours long. I think that's what I calculated, but it says it's 6 episodes. So, yeah. Okay, I finished watching The Perfect Couple. I actually finished watching it like 2 nights ago. Y'all, what the hell? What the actual hell was that? Okay, first of all, there were many changes from like the book to the show. I'm gonna call it a show, I'm gonna call it a movie, like you know what I'm talking about, okay? For one thing, the main character in the book, her name is Celeste. In the movie they named her Amelia. Like what was the point of the change? Like really, what was the point of that change? That's so random to change. Other things like at least made a little bit of sense, but that was just like, okay, whatever. They changed like the gender of a few characters. Like there was a police, like the 2 police men that were on the scene in the book, they were both men and they changed one of them to be a woman, and like that's fine, don't have a problem with that. They changed the name of Featherly, who Featherly is an old family friend of Tag, who's the father of the family. Okay, they changed her name, doesn't matter, I don't care about that, I guess. Like I don't get the need to change the names, like I really don't understand it, but especially the main character, like why change her name to Amelia? Like did the director have like problems with a girl named Celeste in high school and she's like, absolutely not, I am not having that name in my show? I don't know. Probably what is the biggest change, and the biggest change like that has to do with the whole plot, was the fact that there are 3 brothers here. Okay, in the book it's just the 2 brothers. There is the brother who's getting married to Celeste / Amelia, and then there's the younger brother, or maybe he's the older brother, I really don't remember, but the other brother who was already married, who had married Abby. So they were like already married by the time the book and the movie started. Abby is a girl from Texas. Greer, the mother, Nicole Kidman's character, she doesn't love Abby, but Abby like has done everything she can to kind of like stay within good graces of the family. Okay, she's like eager to please, eager to help, she wants to be part of the family. Okay, she likes the money, let's just say that. So in the movie they added a 3rd brother, and the reason for that is because it correlates directly to the motive of the murder of Merritt, which in the movie the murder of Merritt is very different. Okay, I'll get into all that in just a minute because it's spoilers. One of the last things I have to say before we get into spoilers, y'all, what the hell was that opening dance sequence before the start of every episode? Like literally, what was that? It was some choreographed dance number. Like I was so confused. It was so weird because it was clearly just something fun for the actors to do. Like it had nothing to do with the story, because in the story no one likes each other. Like everyone is fighting. Celeste doesn't want to be married into this family. Other people in the family don't like her. Other people in the family don't like other people in the family. Like no one is friends in this show. Okay, there's no perfect couple, if you will. I can only chalk it up to being like something fun and cute that the cast wanted to do, and so they just choreographed like this goofy little dance, and then they just played it at the beginning of every episode, like when the title shows up, The Perfect Couple. It was so like, it took me out every single time because it was just like silly and cringy. Like it I don't know guys, I don't know what the motivation there was. That was so weird. Another thing, I hated how this show was filmed. I absolutely, like literally, I have no doubt that the notes for every take, for every line that's in this, was pause for 2 beats before your line, say your line, and then pause for another 2 beats. Like literally the lines would be like literally it would be filmed like this. So I'm the female police officer, okay? And why would you do that? every line was like that. Each, like, the episode, like, they did that to make the episodes long. Like, I swear that's why. If we cut out every 2 seconds before and after a line, we could have had this in an easy 3 episodes. We could have cut out a whole 2 episodes, I swear. It was, like, so bad. Like, it was so slow. I actually sped it up. Like, I did speed up. On Netflix, you can make it, like, 0.5 speed. I sped it up because I could not handle how slow this was going. And I didn't understand. Like, it wasn't for effect. It wasn't for dramatic effect at all. It was to be annoying. Like, it was straight up to be annoying, straight up to piss me off, I guess. I hated that about it. I thought all of the acting was garbage. Like, even Nicole Kidman, like, we couldn't even give her a better script to deal with. Like, I know she's got the range, I know she has the talent, and I've seen her be very good in a lot of dramas and mysteries and thrillers. What was that? That was terrible. Literally, I think Liev Schreiber, who played Tag, the father of the family, was the best part of the whole story. Like, he was the comedic relief at times. He had, like, good motivation, like, that you could tell. It was just, like, everyone else pissed me off. Everyone else was so bad. Like, not to, and honestly, just the story as a whole, like, the script was just terrible. Like, just really bad. Like, the book wasn't much better. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't love the book, so I'm not like, oh, I'm so mad they ruined my favorite beach read. No, like, it was just kind of like mediocre to start with, and then they made it worse with the script for the show. Okay, so spoilers start now. If you don't want spoilers for the book, if you don't want spoilers for the show, go to this timestamp below. If you don't care and you would like to hear about how goofy this show is, keep watching. Okay, so in the book, what happens is Merritt is found dead. Okay, she was found to have barbiturates in her system, and she went out into the water and drowned because she couldn't get back up because she had drugs in her system. Okay, so she gets in the water, she can't get back up. What the mystery is, what ends up happening is that Abby's husband, the second brother, had been sleeping with Featherly, who is the family friend whose name they change in the show. Okay, stay with me. Hopefully this doesn't get too confusing. He was sleeping with her. Abby knows she was sleeping with him, and so she decides to spike the drink that Featherly has with her when she steps into the house. But the drink she was getting was for Merritt. Merritt needed a glass of water. Featherly goes to get the glass of water, goes to the bathroom. While she's in the bathroom, Abby comes and sprinkles a barbiturate, some kind of pill to knock her out, okay? Because she doesn't want her sleeping with her husband anymore. And she's just like, I can't take this anymore. I'm pregnant. I don't want to ruin my family's life, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna make the woman that he's sleeping with go to sleep tonight so that she doesn't sleep with my husband, okay? But the drink was for Merritt. So Merritt takes the drink, Merritt drinks the drink. She's all woozy, sleepy. She has an argument with Tag on the beach because she's pregnant with Tag's child. Tag is the father of the family, okay, married to Greer, Nicole Kidman's character. Again, we're talking about the book. Merritt has the fight with Tag and then goes back into the water after Tag leaves, but she just drowns in the water because she has the barbiturate in her system. She's sleepy and she can't get out of the water. She drowns, okay, after taking the drug that Abby had intended for Featherly, the family friend who's sleeping with her husband, okay? So it was kind of like, it was an accident because the drug wasn't meant for her. It wasn't meant to kill her. It wasn't even meant to kill the other lady. It was just meant to make her fall asleep so that she doesn't sleep with her husband. And then Merritt gets back in the water. She gets back in the water because she had lost a bracelet. She sees the bracelet in the water and she's like, I gotta go get it and everything. So that's how she dies in the book, okay? In the movie, holy shit, okay, we have added a third brother into the mix. The point of the third brother is to give motivation for Abby to maliciously murder Merritt, okay? So Merritt is pregnant with Tag's new child. She wants to keep the baby. Tag is like, you can't keep this baby. It's gonna ruin our lives. She's like, I wanna keep the baby. I'm gonna keep the baby. Abby overhears this conversation, and later on in the episodes, it is talked about how when the third son turns 18, the family will get their inheritance. It's split up in 3 ways within 3 brothers. So that means that Abby and her husband will get their third of the inheritance. However, if Tag has a new child, they will have to wait another 18 years to get that third of their money. So the child needs to not be born, the child needs to die, therefore Merritt needs to die. So literally what Abby does is she crushes up a pill, puts it in some water. Merritt had just had the fight with Tag out on the beach. She's sitting there all sad on the beach. Abby comes up to her and she's like, oh, here's some water, or no, it's juice. She's like, oh, here's some fresh squeezed juice. Like, you look so sad. Are you okay? She drinks the drink and then she like leads her into the water. Like Abby's like, come on, let's step into the water. She leads her into the water, and then she just smashes her into the water and holds her head under. Mind you, Abby's 9 months pregnant. She's 8 months, 9 months pregnant, okay? And she's literally like, it's like a gruesome like murder scene. Like she maliciously premeditated this murder so that her family could get the inheritance once the third son turns 18. So in the show, they clearly wanted to make it a lot more suspenseful, because in the book it's not suspenseful, it's like an accidental death, honestly. But in the movie it's like, oh, we need some kind of motivation for Abby that is beyond, oh, I don't want my husband sleeping with this rando who's a family friend. Like, we need to kill the child because then I won't get my inheritance because the third son is about to turn 18. So that was the whole reason for adding in another son. I remember it started and I was like, there's 3 boys? That's not in the book. What's going on? Why is there a third boy? It's just so random. But there was actually a point to it and a reason for it, because he was about to turn 18. They were about to get their inheritance, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if I have much else to say about it. I hated the acting. I hated the main character, Amelia/Celeste. She was honestly useless. And it does suck a little bit because I had read the book, so I knew where it was going. I feel like it would have been a lot more suspenseful and thrilling if I hadn't read the book, because like I don't know where it's going. I don't know who's pregnant with whose child, who's sleeping with who, yada yada. It had like good comedy moments from time to time. It honestly wasn't the best, but I think that I just needed a relief from how bad the show was and how bad the script was overall, and all the characters were so awful. So the tiny little sprinkles of comedy they put in, I was laughing because I was happy to have an emotion while watching this. It was bad, it was really bad, but I'm glad I watched it. I love Nicole Kidman, I'll watch anything that she's in. And yeah, that was The Perfect Couple. Thanks for watching along with me. Actually want to cry for Ruth. Like, she is trying her darndest, and Walter Lee, like, I get it, like, I've seen the movie, I know how it goes, I know what he's going through, but Ruth, like, I just like empathize with her so much more, and like I really feel how hurt she is in this play. Like, it comes across so well in the writing. Okay, I just finished A Raisin in the Sun. Oh my god. Like, literally the same exact emotions I was having when I rewatched the movie earlier this year that led to me wanting to reread this play. It's, I mean, like, seriously, if you don't know the story, let me just give like the quickest synopsis, okay? But honestly, if you have not read this book, you should just go read it, or at least watch the movie, the Sidney Poitier one. I believe it's 1956. Is that the right year? So this is about a family, a black family that lives in Southside Chicago. There is Mama, whose husband has just recently passed away. She lives in a small home with her son, his wife, and their son, and also her daughter. So there's 5 people living in this house. Basically, she sees how the family is falling apart in many different ways. For one thing, the wife of her son is pregnant again, and because of the state of the household being this small house, it's already a cramped space as it is. Her son literally sleeps like in the living room. And also the way that her husband, the mama's son, okay, his name is Walter Lee Younger, he's named after his father, and he just has been like feeling like he's less of a man lately. He does not want to do the job that he has for the rest of his life, which is he's a chauffeur for rich white people. He sees that his wife and his mother just like work like to the bone for white people, and he's just like, I can't do this anymore. You know, I want to amount to something more. I want to make more money. I want to provide more for my family. I want to be more than what I have been. His mother and his wife have seen that he's not necessarily been like corrupt by money. Sorry, my cats are like walking around, so you might hear them scratching and stuff. They are like a very Christian-led household, however. You know, it's not just like, oh, money is the root of all evil, but it's like he is like losing sense within himself, he's losing sense within the family, and he's being somewhat selfish in a way, but like also I get it, like he feels like he's deteriorating as a person, like he's just, I can't do this for the rest of my life, like I need to amount to something more, I need to make more and like feel more proud of myself, you know. So Walter's father, Mama's husband, has just passed away, and they are going, and she is going to receive a $10,000 life insurance check. And Walter, he wants to use the money to open a liquor store, like a liquor business. Mama is like, no, you can't do that and everything. You know, Ruth definitely like sees the money as something that can help them, but she's just kind of like letting Mama do what she wants with it, you know. She's not trying to sway her in one way, but she sees how this money is going to help them in the future. Once they receive the check, Mama decides to take the check and buy them a house. She buys them a house in Clybourne Park, which is a nice neighborhood, very simple neighborhood, but there are no Black people or people of color at all who live in that neighborhood. It's like predominantly white. And there have been like lots of reports of Black people's houses being bombed, like Black people trying to be like pushed out of communities and like go live with their own instead of trying to like mix with white people, right? So the family is like definitely like wary about that, but there comes a time when a man who is part of the welcoming committee for this new neighborhood, he comes to their house and he's like, listen, we know as a committee that you guys have bought this house, and we think that it'll be best for everyone if you just kind of stay with your own people, you know what I mean? He definitely comes at them trying to be like this nice guy and talk civilly with them and everything, but he is still like spouting off this racism and note of discrimination, because he's like, listen, it'll just be better for everyone if you don't live here, because one, your house won't get bombed, and two, it'll be like safer for everyone in the long run, I guess. But you know, they kind of like laugh him out of the house. They're like, okay, yeah, sure, man, yeah, get out of our house now, you know, like they're very excited to move. Ruth, who's the mother, the wife, is especially very excited to move. Like she was going to actually give up the baby because she felt like, I just can't like suffocate myself more in this house. And also she sees that her and Walter's relationship is deteriorating, but with this new house, a new like life on the horizon, she decides to keep the baby because she's like, well, I'm happy enough to keep the baby, and like we're gonna have a better living life to be able to provide for this baby, right? There are a lot of different aspects going on. As the story goes on, the house only cost like, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like basically half and half, where like $5,000 went to the house, around $5,000 was left over. It was actually like $6,400 that was left over, and Mama gave it to Walter, telling him to put half of it in the bank for the daughter's college fund to go to medical school, right? And then she says that he can have the other half of it to do what he wants. Like you can invest in business, you can do something nice for your wife, like whatever you want to do, whatever you think is going to best help you and make you feel more like a man, you know, like more financially stable and able to like make decisions for yourself and everything. So she gives him half the money that was left over from the half from buying the house. And in like the worst moment, like literally, like I feel my heart just leave my body when this happens in the movie, because it is filled with so much emotion, and I totally feel it through the play because I'm like watching the movie in my head as I'm reading it. Walter had decided to take all of the money and invest it in the liquor business, and his partner shows up to tell him that the man they invested in took all of the money and ran off. Like he's nowhere to be found. I mean, it's just like sickening. It's sick to my stomach. So they lost all that money. So the daughter doesn't have money for medical school now, and like they lost half of the life insurance money, you know what I mean? In the end, it's just so great because Mama decides that they're not going to move. She's like, no, we're gonna like get the house, like we're gonna get the money back from the house, like we can't live there because we need the money more than anything now. And then Walter decides to bring the white man from the welcoming committee back into the home, and he tells the family, he's like, I'm going to agree to his terms and let him and like the committee buy back the house from us so that we get some money, and like we won't live in their neighborhood and everything, and I'll just like get on my knees and like beg him. His monologue is like so good because he really like amps it up of how he's going to like set his pride aside. And in the moment, the man comes, the man from the welcoming committee, and he's like, got the paper signed, he's like, yeah, you ready to sign and everything? And Walter is like, he talks about his family and his father and how hard he worked and everything. And he talks about pride, and he talks about how we are not a prideful family, but we have pride within us, just like everyone should, you know? He says to his face, he's like, we're not going to take your money, actually. Like, he totally wastes his time with it, you know? And I think that he did have every intention of letting them buy the house back from them. But then he decided, no, like my family deserves this. And like he set his own pride aside in a way while still being full of pride for himself and his family. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but I just like the constant switch of the story as well. Like it's very suspenseful in that way, like very tense, because you're like, oh my gosh, they're not going to move in, but wait, now they're going to get money back and that's great. But then, oh my God, wait, they actually are going to move into the community and they are not taking the money and they are going to like start from scratch, you know, in a way. And at the end, Mama, she like kind of like the house is all packed up, and Ruth, who's the wife, she's like, come on Mama, let's go and everything. And Mama like looks around the house, you know, and she kind of like, and it says that she puts her fist up to her mouth to like stifle like a cry, you know. She's like, it's like so emotional, because in a way you could come to the conclusion that they won. You know, they stuck it to the committee. They're going to move into a house. They're going to have a better life, a better family life. But it doesn't negate from the fact that there is like all of this actual racism and discrimination that's going to happen, or that has been happening, that could happen to them, that most likely will happen to them by moving into this community. So at the end of the day, Mama is still like so frightened for her family, and also like sad for everything that they have to go through. And it's just like, oh my God, it's like, it's a happy ending, but it's not. It's also like very much not a happy ending. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's really good. Like it's such a 5-star read, and it was such a 5-star movie, and I'm glad I finally got to it before the year ended, because it's a great like tragic tale to keep with you. I love the flip-flop of Walter's pride as well, where like he's being told that his pride is bad, and he sees where his pride has wronged him and hurt him, but he also still has that pride in his self. My cat almost threw up on the windowsill, so I let her out. She's throwing up out there right now, so I'm gonna cut this clip off. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Hey y'all, I just watched Age of Innocence from Martin Scorsese. This movie, it's so good. This is actually my second time watching it. I read the book earlier this year by Edith Wharton, who I just found out as well. I was doing a little research on the book before I watched the movie. She was the first woman ever to win a Pulitzer Prize, and she won it for that book. Insane. So if you don't know the story of Age of Innocence, we have Newland Archer. He comes from a very typical aristocratic, how do you say that? Aristocratic? Whatever. A really like well-known family in New York. This is like the late 1800s, I believe, is when this time period is. And he is engaged. He's engaged to May Welland, who is another well-known family in New York, and her cousin Ellen comes to visit / get away from her abusive / cheating husband, who they live in Europe. Like, he's a European guy, okay? And right away, everyone starts gossiping, starts talking smack about Ellen, because she is not with her husband. Like, not only is she wanting to divorce him, which is like so like not well received, like not like they look down on people who get divorces. You can be separated from your husband, but if you're thinking of divorce, that's like a no-no. But she is like accidentally falling victim to all of these things that society deems like inappropriate. For instance, this one man will call on her. He'll like talk to her. He'll go visit her at her home. He'll like walk her places or offer his carriage to her. And that's like a big no-no because she's married, right? Another thing, like, you know, she might arrive late to an event, and that's like a big no-no. That's super rude, which like I get, like, you know, arriving late is rude. People just like really like they're already having these bad thoughts about her because it's like, well, why is your husband cheating on you? And then you left your husband instead of trying to fix the marriage, and now you want a divorce, girly. Like, there's just a lot of talk about her, okay? The town, the city, New York, the state of New York does not like her. And Newland feels bad for her. He's like, first of all, you're May's cousin, so like, we're family. What are ways that I can help you? And one of those really cool ways is that something that's really interesting too in the movie is that we see Newland Archer as a really nice guy. Like, he's doing things to be a nice person, whereas in the book we're inside his head, and we see that a lot of his motivation is inherently selfish, or inherently just like he wants to not just look the best but be the best kind of person. So he's not necessarily looking out for her because he's such this nice selfless guy. He's looking out for her because it looks good on him, it looks good on May, it looks good for his family. And in the movie that doesn't translate super well. He just like seems like a really nice guy in the movie, right? So for instance, one of those reasons are there's this big ball that's happening after Ellen has come into town, and he speaks with May, his fiance. He's like, let's announce our engagement tonight because it will look like there are two very powerful families united with the Welland family, therefore united with Ellen. So it's like, it takes the heat off of her because no one's talking about her, everyone's talking about the engagement. But also there are now two really big prominent families in New York, the Wellands and the Archers, who are like part of this family now, and Ellen, like, she just looks like a nicer girl because of it, I guess. So anyway, so he's just like being a nice guy, helping her out with stuff, being kind. She comes to him for legal advice about divorcing her husband, and he advises her not to do that because of how bad it will look on society. Within time, he ends up falling for Ellen, and Ellen starts falling for him. But of course, there's always this like back and forth pull because like he's engaged to her cousin. He does love May and she loves her cousin as well, so no one wants to hurt May, no one wants to hurt the family, but it's also like, we can't do this, like it's cheating, it'll look bad, it'll ruin our families and everything. And along the way of the movie we see other people, other like really high prominent members of society cheating on their wives, right? And it's just like they kind of have this back and forth of like, well, other people are doing it, why can't we? But also like, we don't want to hurt the people we love, but we love each other. How do we navigate this situation and everything? There's moments where like he has the opportunity to be alone with her and he chooses not to. He chooses to turn around and go sit back with May. It is like so not just like sexually charged, I would say, but just romantically charged. There is so much hidden romance in this movie. Like, it's palpable, literally, the things that you see, because they hardly ever kiss, which, by the way, Daniel Day-Lewis, love you, you will always be Daddy Day-Lewis to me, but you need kissing lessons, my man. That was not attractive at all. That aside, okay, there's only like 2 kissing scenes, and that's as far as the relationship goes. The most erotic moment of the movie is when he unbuttons her glove and kisses her wrist. Don't even talk to me. Don't even look at me when that is happening. I will be blushing. I'm blushing right now just thinking about it. Goodness. It is just, it's such a romantic movie. And not to mention like Martin Scorsese's attention to detail and his editing technique in this movie. I was reading IMDb like trivia on it. It says that this movie came out 12 months after it was expected to because he took 12 months to edit it. That's crazy. And it shows because this movie is like gorgeously edited. I mean, I would love to like learn a fraction of his editing technique for my own stinky little YouTube videos. The production design is beautiful. The colors, I mean, everything in this movie is so real. It's so palpable. Like I said before, it is just like so physical in the room, and it's colorful. There's so many scenes of like food being served as well, so you can see like all of the meals and courses that they're having at these balls and these dinners, and it's just like there might be some symbolism there that I'm missing. I'm sure that there is, but I just couldn't, like, it's beautiful. Like, just as someone who is not able to read into every ounce of symbolism that a movie or a book gives to me, it was absolutely perfect to see. Just perfect 5 stars across the board. Like, I have to give this movie 5 stars. It was so good. I'm so happy that I got to rewatch it before the year ended as well, because I just loved it so much. Winona Ryder was the only actor in this movie to be nominated at the Oscars. Daddy Day-Lewis did not get a nom, and neither did Michelle Pfeiffer or anybody else in the cast who would have deserved 100%. So that's pretty cool. I think Winona Ryder's performance was well deserved for that nomination. She was the best part of the movie. I mean, her knowledge of the relationship, like, you can tell just through her acting how she knew everything that was going on, how she pushes Newland Archer to take care of things before marrying her. He tries to marry her early so that he can like get away from Ellen and get away from those feelings, and she's just kind of like nonchalantly telling him to go figure out what he needs to figure out before he marries her, because she doesn't want to deal with that within the marriage. Crazy. The end scene with him and Ellen is, I mean, like, literally, like, knife to the throat, knife to the stomach. It's just crazy. She is leaving for Europe. She's going back. She's going away. Newland is just, like, so sad. Like, he's so depressed. His acting is so good in this scene when he's putting the jacket on her shoulder. He's offering to walk her to the carriage, and her family is like, no, that's okay. We've actually got a carriage for her right outside. And he's like, okay, well, then maybe I'll visit you in Paris. And Ellen is like, yeah, you and May should visit me in Paris. That would be lovely. And then like she turns away and his face is just like, he's been gutted. He's a gutted man at this moment. And then later on, he is sitting like in the study with May, and she comes to him, tells her that she's pregnant, and just like the whole scene of it, how she's admitting that she had told Ellen weeks prior that she was pregnant when she didn't know until weeks later when she's telling Newland that she's pregnant. She does this, in my belief, because maybe she thought she could be pregnant. Sure, she had like the suspicions she could be, but also because she needed to let Ellen know, like, it's over, babes. It's over, babes. And Ellen totally respects that, of course. That's why she denies Archer, like throughout the rest of the movie and at that last moment at the last party before she leaves for Paris. It's just, I think this is a gorgeous, beautiful, perfect, well-made movie. 5 stars across the board, and I'm really glad I got to watch it before the year ended. It's getting dark, so it's time to switch over to the Kindle edition. Okay, I'm sitting in the green room now. Time to switch over from the Kindle to the physical. It's actually Christmas Eve. We're about to go head over to the family's house to open presents and have dinner. And I have 2 hours, so I'm just enjoying some reading until then. Is this book gonna be a maid's book? Oh my god. Okay, I got the best Christmas gift of all time. It's this little clicker. So part 1 goes on the Kindle like this, and then you like link it, you click both buttons, and then you just lay there and you can go through the pages. You guys don't even understand how much this changes the game. Because I love to sleep, like lay in bed all cuddled up like this and read. And I no longer need to have an arm free to change the page, to turn the page. I can literally just be reading like this. And just like hold it in my hand and go through the pages. It's the best Christmas gift. It's my favorite gift. It was like $10. Alright, I just finished When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I liked it, okay? I liked it a lot. I feel like I definitely had some problems with the writing, but overall, I had fun. Like the first, I'd say like 70% of the book, I was having a lot of fun. And then I was very confused with where we were going. Like, what is the point of the story? Are we gonna actually find out everything that we have been set out to find out about? Because, okay, let me tell you what's going on in this. I might mispronounce everyone's names. I'm sorry if that's the case, but we have Rave. She is the main character, and she is an assassin. She lives like kind of in this underbelly like kind of world. She works for this woman who like gives her assassin jobs, okay? And she has her best friend whose name I don't remember. Her best friend dies really early on, and she basically makes it her life's mission to get revenge on the man who killed her best friend, okay? We are also getting a POV that are diary entries from this woman named Elaine, something like that, Elaine. And you're just reading the book like, oh, why are we reading about this one woman? How is this connected? Is it actually even connected in any way? We also get the POV of Kane. Kane is the MMC, that's how it's called, main male character, yeah, MMC. We get his POV a couple of times. Basically, right at the beginning of the book, she's doing an assassin job and she has to walk past a man who's on the stairs, and he just like he walks past her and he immediately turns, like he smells her, like he just like sees her and smells her, and he's like, what the hell? Like, this girl is suddenly bringing back a bunch of memories, and she is also very attracted to his scent as well. There was a lot about scent in this book between these two. Like, they just would smell each other and be like, this is the most beautiful smell I've ever smelled in my life. And it was giving very mates vibes, but they never actually like explicitly say that, like, oh, we're mates, we're mated together, like we're supposed to be together, blah blah blah. Cain has lost someone very special to him in the past, and this girl, this rave, is heavily reminding him of her. Okay, I'm trying to remember because it's a big book, okay, you guys, like there's so much that happens. I simply cannot remember what happens in the beginning that gets her in trouble, but maybe she's caught doing an assassin job or something like that, and so she is being held in these prisons, and like in this prison cell with these other prisoners and everything. Cain comes to visit her, he heals her, and then she is to have a trial, and it's decided whether, and the council votes whether she will be drawn and quartered for her crimes or she will play in the Colosseum fighting these dragons. Okay, the dragons are a big part of the book, and yet at the same time not at all. Okay, the dragons are the most fantastical part of the book, and I feel like they're barely in it. Like, we get so much we get some information about the 3 different kinds of dragons that there are, and like people will have a dragon, and she had a dragon in the past and we learn about it, and Cain has a dragon. Like, we see dragons throughout the book, but they're not actually, like, I feel like she forgot to write about the dragons. Like, maybe I just wanted more dragons, and I felt the same way when I read Fourth Wing, which is like the most popular dragon book today, where the dragons are the fantastical part of the book and they're very underutilized. Like, it has way more to do with the romance and all that, but at least in Fourth Wing I still felt like we had more connection with the dragons, because the main character like gets her own dragon, she gets 2 dragons, they can speak to her, she can speak to it, like her and the guy that she likes, their dragons are bonded, like they're mated together. So like there's a lot more dragons, whereas in this book, this hefty ass book where there's 3 different kinds of dragons, we barely, like, she literally forgot to write about the dragons, I swear. And another thing that's crazy is that there's a whole like glossary in the beginning explaining the world, which I loved. And I saw a Goodreads review talking smack about the glossary. It was like, wow, this book would be good if I didn't have to get through 20 pages of glossary and world building before. Like, what? You wanted to go in this book blind? Like, the glossary was needed, honestly. I was very glad that I read it. Like, I had no idea what I was reading, but I was like, let's go. Like, this author has created a whole world where like the sunrise is called something different, your mom and dad are called something different. Like, it's a whole fantasy world that she built, and I felt like she did a really good job building it. There's also a lot of talk about the creators, the gods, and like the power that they have over people is really, really cool and interesting, but she forgot to write about the damn dragons. Like, the dragons were not utilized in this book. But anyway, so she has a trial where she's either going to be drawn and quartered or death by Colosseum fight with dragons, right? And Cain, the man who like cleans her up and helps heal her and everything, he votes for her to fight the dragon. So she just hates him even more now. She also just hates him because he's like getting in the way of her revenge plot to get revenge on the man who killed her best friend at the very beginning of the book. So he's just like always in her way, and she's just like not having it. Like, she does not appreciate him at all. Basically, there's a whole plot after that to save her from the dragons, Colosseum, like, and then the book just goes on from there. I will get into spoilers in just a minute. I have a few grievances. I read it both on Kindle and physical, and on the Kindle I made a few notes. So first of all, this book looks really big. Like, it's a hefty boy, okay? It's taking up my whole hand span, okay, to hold on to it. And it's not because it's chock full of words and lots of world building and lots of plot. It is because the way that the author writes it, there are so many 1-word and 2-word paragraphs to emphasize things. So I'll read you a couple. Before I caught a glimpse of ... something, a tender emotion that split my chest, made me think her memories are in there. Next paragraph. Somewhere. Next paragraph. Fucking somewhere. Another example. His words stuffed me full of mortar, making my body feel heavy. Next paragraph. Laden. And like laden is italicized. So like there are many like spaces there where it's just like 1-word, 2-word paragraphs to emphasize what she's trying to say. I'm gonna look up the word snarl and let you know how many times the words snarl and snarling were used, because it was a lot. Okay, 46 times is the word snarl or snarling used. I feel like there were so many I get it's a long book, like I get it's a long book and you can only use so many different iterations of like what you're trying to say, but use each of those iterations 2 or 3 times instead of the same one 46 times. I read snarling so many times, it was getting on my nerves a little bit. Okay, another thing that bothered me in this book, so she's an assassin, right? There's one chapter where she does the assassin's role, like she kills someone that she's supposed to. She has like no mercy, she's ruthless, like she's a badass and everything. And then comes time for her to kill other people throughout the book, or like just be this ruthless assassin that she is in her head, and she doesn't do it. Like, why is I feel like it was just a little not truthful to like what we were reading in her head, like her talking about how badly she wants to kill people and like hurt people and do all these like really torturous things to people who have wronged her or who are impeding on her going about her journey to get revenge on her best friend, and then she doesn't actually do anything about it. Like she gives in too easily, or there's literally a moment where she has the chance to kill someone and she hesitates, and I was like, why? You like work for the greatest assassin little black market group of all time in this whole like fantastical world, and you are hesitating to kill people. Okay, we're gonna get into a little spoilers here. I'm not gonna like tell you the whole story of what happens, but if you want to go into this book 100% blind, skip to the next timestamp below, because that's gonna be like the end of this whole review, is the spoilery part of it. In this book, there are so many plot points being opened up to us. For instance, here's the spoiler part. Okay, literally run and hide if you don't want to hear this. The diary entries that we're reading about, Eloine, that is Rave. Like years ago, Rave was this princess basically who fell in love with Cain, and then she had to leave Cain to like save humanity, basically. Like she was put to the test and had to leave Cain, and he's heartbroken. So that's a plot point that we start to understand, that like she had this whole life before and now she doesn't remember that life at all, and so he's helping her try to remember it. Other people like his sister are trying to help her remember it. She has this diary that's hidden in her old bedroom, and like his sister's trying to find the diary to like, you know, unveil all the secrets and everything, because there were some things that she didn't tell Cain as like she was leaving and everything. So then I don't understand where her memory goes, because Eloine dies. Like she dies, and then we find out that Rave had been tortured for show. Like it's so confusing, because it's literally only mentioned like 3 times her previous life before she like became Rave. Okay, so she was Eloine, she died, and then she was captured by this man who we like literally learn like the whereabouts and like his name and everything in the final chapter of the book. She was captured by him and then tortured for people to watch. Like that's what I got from it, because we literally get 1 page of information about what her life was between the years that she died as Eloine and then became this assassin as Rave, where the story starts. There's like a large stretch of years that have passed, because Cain is like doing his own thing. He's trying to move on from the death of his loved one, and like she had betrayed him and all this stuff. And then she is Rave, she's this assassin, but she has no memory of her past life as Eloine or as like being with Cain in the past, right? And I'm like, how did that happen? Like, was it the torture that like stole her memories from her? Like there's a second book coming out next year, so I'm sure that it'll be explained in that book, but I would have liked to know more, because the whole book I'm holding on to these tiny little sentences that we get near the beginning of the book that allude to her life before she became this assassin, and I'm like, oh my god, what is it? Like she seems so like torturous about this, like she really like suffered during this time in her life and everything. What really happened? And then we find out that she is Eloine, and it's like, how did we get here? Like how did we get there? There's just so much that's crazy. The final chapter reveals so much. Like it is a really good cliffhanger for making you like die to get the next book. Like I won't lie, it would have been cool if we could have like, I don't know, because like on one hand I feel like I really like the surprises, I really like the plot twists when I don't see them coming, but when it's just like there's no information about the certain plot twist that's gonna happen and then suddenly it's dumped on you, it's just kind of like, oh, like how was I ever to expect that? So I don't know if I'm necessarily complaining, because like I said, I like to be surprised. I like when a plot twist, like when I can't guess the plot twist, but I like when the author is able to sprinkle little, like even if it's just misinformation about the plot twist and then like change it up on us along, like at the end, then I think that that's really smart writing and really well written. The final note that I have to say, the final spoilery note, is that her and Kane do eventually consummate the relationship. Okay, they have their sexy time. It's great, I won't lie, she writes those scenes really well, but it fucking took me out. Okay, Ray is teasing him, basically. This is the day after they have sex, and she is teasing him, and she's like, what would you do if you could come over here? And he goes, I'd spread you, marble you, and then split you like an egg. Don't ever split me, like, don't ever do that to me, I swear to God. I literally had to put the book down. I was like this. I could not. That is like the most unsexy thing I've ever heard in my life. Of all the things you could have said, Miss Sarah, of all the things you could have said, split you like an egg. It's hilarious. It's honestly super funny that she said that. So that's my final bit on When the Moon Hatched. I definitely really enjoyed it. I'm thinking like 3 to 4 stars. I wish the dragons had been utilized more. I think that she does a really good job of making you instantly want the second book, which is amazing. Like, I love when I am reading a series and I want to keep reading it. I read it a lot faster than I thought I would. It looks like a big book. Like, it looks very Game of Thrones-esque, okay? Like, it looks like it's gonna be a chore to get through in a way, but it's not, because the words are literally like, there's so many paragraphs that are just one, like, look at that. Literally, I just opened up one thing. Oh, well, it's dialogue, but still. No, it's not. See, look, there's words there that aren't even dialogue. There's just these paragraphs that are 1 or 2 words long. So it'll be an easy book for you. If you want a good fantasy this winter season, I would definitely suggest this one. It gives those cold vibes. It's pretty good, pretty good. Okay, I love when my life has a full circle moment, and that just happened with this. Literally, this is directed by Joan Chen. I just recently watched Dee Dee, which had Joan Chen. If you don't know Joan Chen, she is the really great character from Twin Peaks. If you know, you know. I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen Twin Peaks yet, because their character is crazy, and it's just crazy. Like, this is one of the only movies that she has directed, and it's like in the list. Like, how did I manifest that? Okay, I just finished watching An Autumn in New York, directed by Joan Chen, starring, is it Richard Jean? I don't even remember his name, and Winona Ryder, the one, the only Winona, pancake. She's trying to topple over this camera. Okay, so this is the story of Charlotte, and I believe his name is Will. I don't know. I don't care about him. He sucks. Big penis. Okay. Winona Ryder is 21, 22. He's 50 years old. He dated her mother back in the day, who is dead now, I believe, and he just becomes infatuated with her. He sees her at a birthday party for like this restaurant that he owns, and he's just like enamored. He's like, oh my gosh, she was this gorgeous girl. He, you know, he flirts with her. He lies to her. She is a hat maker, and he says, I have this woman that I'm taking to this party and I need a hat made for her. Can you come by my place and drop it off? She makes the hat. It's really cute. And then he's like, oh, this is so nice, but the woman that I was going to take to this party actually bailed on me. So do you want to be my date? And she's like, oh, well, I have nothing to wear. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I've got a dress for you. She, like, I don't know if she caught on that he was lying to her, like, because he admits it to her later, and I don't honestly remember what her reaction was, because she didn't really care. She was like totally fine with everything he did throughout the movie, until he eventually cheats on her at a party that she's at. Like, he takes another woman up to the roof and literally has sex with her while Winona's just like downstairs hanging out with the fam. The story goes on. We find out that she's sick. She has cancer. The cancer is spreading everywhere. And after he cheats on her, they break up, you know, but he is just distraught. He's like, I can't believe I ruined my chance with this beautiful woman and everything. And I love her so much, and she's sick, and like, she's gonna die. So like, I need to spend as much time with her as I can. He goes to apologize. They eventually make up. They have like a love scene that was honestly really like sad to watch, because you can tell that Winona, as the character of Charlotte, is or the character Charlotte, is just like still distraught that he literally cheated on her. Okay, I don't think that they had even had sex yet at this point, because it seems like this scene was like their first time together and everything. So he had cheated on her with another woman before they even did anything, and then she's still like upset about that, so she's like crying and like really upset, and then he's just like, it's okay, you know, we'll have sex and it'll be fine, and like they do it, and it's just like, oh my god, girl, like stand up, get up, leave the house. He doesn't leave her alone the whole movie. Like, he's just pursuing her. He's taking her all these great things. When she confronts him about the cheating, he does lie to her, and she's like, well, I don't know if I believe you because you're a womanizer, and like you're known to be a womanizer. And then he finally admits that he cheated on her. She gets out of the car and he's like, it didn't mean anything, it didn't matter, it didn't mean anything. And she's like, what about love? What about love? Doesn't that mean anything to you? And he's like, come on, grow up and everything. And so in the end of the movie, it kind of like turns where he like does realize he's in love with her and everything. It's very sad. I feel so bad for her. Like, she wasted the last moments of her life with him. Like, he really bothered me. There was nothing good or uplifting about him or his character. Like, he could have had better character development, different kind of character development. He could have like changed into a better person, or just like been like so infatuated with her and just like given her like this great life. But he literally cheats on her, hurts her. He has a daughter he's never spoke to before who like shows up to introduce herself to him. It's just like a sad movie. He's a sad man. He doesn't deserve anything nice, and honestly in the end he doesn't get anything nice, but neither does Winona's character, which is really sad. So yeah, that one was kind of a dud, but that marks the end of this little challenge that I have to read and watch everything that I said I would before 2024 ends. We've got less than a week to go, and I did it. I finished the list. I'm so happy. I read a lot of really good books. I read one not very good book. I watched a couple of really good movies. I watched a couple of not really good movies, but in the end I finished the challenge. I did all 6 items that I said I was going to do, and I'm really happy and proud of that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are a returning viewer, I love you so much. Love you the most. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. I make book and film content all the time for all the things that I love to read and watch about. I have 2 cute little cats. Feel free to follow me on all my social medias below. I have a Goodreads linked, a Letterboxd, and an Instagram account, so feel free to keep up with me on the other social medias, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!